What's up, everyone? Welcome to the May 26th edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, if you use the code Awesemo when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks, you receive 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You also receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100 on that first deposit. We have a 9-game MLB slate tonight. As usual, we're going to take a look at 3 of the top tournament stacks and 3 of the top tournament pitchers on DraftKings using the top stacks tool and the top pitchers tool on the Awesemo.com website. Starting with the top 3 stacks, number 3, the Los Angeles Angels are taking on Hyunjin Ryu tonight in LA. Ryu's been a good pitcher for a while, but he is off to a very slow start this season. He's only struck out 14.5% of the hitters that he's faced. He has a 4.03 xFIP, and he's allowed 1.5 home runs per 9 innings. The Angels are projected for about 3% ownership with a 3% chance of being the top value stack and a 5% chance of being the top scoring stack. One thing working against the Angels is that Shohei Ohtani is pitching tonight. Of course, that means that not only can you not roster arguably the best hitter on the Angels in your stacks, but it also just lowers the number of combinations that you can make Angel stacks with since you only have 8 hitters. But it's still a very high upside lineup. Overall, their active roster, including Ohtani, has a 129 WRC plus and a 183 ISO so far this season. They have a 4.4 implied run total tonight against Ryu. Number 2, the Colorado Rockies taking on Patrick Corbin tonight in Washington. They have a 4.4 implied run total. They're projected for 3% ownership with a 1% chance of being the top value stack, but a 6% chance of being the top scoring stack. They are expensive, but if you can find a way to get to them, they are projected to go under-owned against Corbin, who certainly gives you plenty of upside when you take hitters against him. He has struck out 18.8% of hitters so far this year with a 4.45 xFIP and 1.24 home runs allowed per 9 innings. The Rockies have a 97 WRC plus and a 147 ISO on their active roster. And number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on Alberto Castellanos tonight in LA. 5.9 implied run total for the Dodgers, projected for 12% ownership with an 18% chance of being the top scoring stack. Only about a 2% chance of being the top value stack. So again, it'll require finding value elsewhere in your lineup, but they're projected to go under-owned. It's a good spot. Castellanos has only struck out 17.5% of hitters this year with a 4.44 xFIP, 1.26 home runs allowed per 9 innings. The Dodgers are one of the better offenses in baseball with a 116 WRC plus and a 170 ISO. They have power top to bottom in their lineup, makes them a very high upside stack in tournaments. Now, looking at the top 3 tournament pitchers, number 3, Eric Lauer, $10,100 in a brutal matchup against the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals' active roster has a 128 WRC plus, and they've only struck out 18.3% of the time. This is a very difficult spot to get to Lauer, but as a result, he's only projected for about 4% ownership, despite having a 32.9% strikeout percentage and a 2.65 xFIP so far this season. You shouldn't have a lot of confidence in Lauer doing well, but the upside is certainly there based on what we've seen from him so far. He's projected for about 4% ownership, but with a 14% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Number 2, Tarik Skubal, 9% projected ownership, 16% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 5% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. He comes in at $9,700 tonight against the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians have a 108 WRC plus and have only struck out 19.3% of the time so far this season. But Skubal does have very good strikeout stuff. He has struck out 28.4% of hitters. He has a 2.61 xFIP. The Guardians have a 3.6 implied run total here. And Skubal, is just projected to go a little bit under-owned. You're going to see more ownership going to some other similarly priced pitchers. And number 1, Kyle Wright, similar to Skubal, not the best matchup as he takes on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies have a 4.3 implied run total. They have a 107 WRC plus so far this season, but they do have a relatively high 24.3% strikeout percentage. Wright comes into this game with a 29.5% strikeout percentage and a 2.96 xFIP. He's only projected for about 6% ownership with a 22% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. So to recap, the top 3 tournament stacks: number 3, the Los Angeles Angels; number 2, the Colorado Rockies; number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the top 3 tournament pitchers: number 3, Eric Lauer; number 2, Tarik Skubal; and number 1, Kyle Wright.